Welcome to Postcards to the Universe with Melissa Caprio. Do you believe in magic? What if you were told that all you had to do was get a little creative and work a magic spell to bring anything you can imagine into your life? Here on Postcards to the Universe, we will share manifesting, tips, postcards, creativity, abundance, and prosperity. Here is your host, Melissa Caprio.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to Postcards to the Universe with Melissa, creating the life you crave. How are you guys doing on this Wednesday? I hope everybody is doing well. I have a really cool show today. I have lifestyle and wellness influencer, and she's also an author, Giovanna Silvestre, with me today. And we're going to talk about her book, and I love the title of her book, Confused Girl, Find Your Peace in the Chaos. Oh my God, do we need that right now? Because if you are looking at the world, it is chaos. And from what I understand, there is a eclipse coming up, a lunar eclipse in 2 days, I think. I think it's the 14th. And yeah, it's going right over the United States. So lunar eclipses, from what I've heard, is when things eclipse from your life, things that are no longer working. So it's going to be interesting how that plays out globally and also personally. So it'll be exciting. She's going to just join me here in just a couple minutes. I want to say thank you to my regulars. I love you guys. Thank you for listening each week. It means the world to me. If you're new turning into my show, welcome, and I hope you enjoy the show. And just so you know, you can listen to any of my shows on the replays, and there's always a description with my show that tells you the guests that I have and what we're going to be talking about. And you can find that on any of the podcasting platforms that you like to listen to, but you can also find it on my website, postcardstotheuniverse.com, in the podcast section, or on Om Times Radio in the archives section. You can always listen to any shows. A little bit about me for those who don't know me. I'm an artist, I'm a photographer, I'm an author, and I have a book titled Postcards to the Universe, Harness the Universe's Power and Manifest Your Dreams. And in my book, I talk all about manifesting, and I use a visual tool, which is a manifesting postcard. I have people create them, like kind of like a vision board, and they put things on their postcard they want to bring into their life. It's a lot of fun to make them. You know, you put your creative energy into it, so they're super fun. And when you send it to me, I photograph it, and when your manifestation shows up in reality, we can share your story. So the book has 30 of those stories in it, and I broke it down into the main life themes that we're always looking to create more abundance: love, money, health, career, that kind of stuff. And there's a bunch of exercises in the book, which makes it fun. So if you want to manifest more money in your life, I have some fun money games. If you want to manifest better health, some things that you can do, to create better health in your life. So I have this great little shower ritual, which is really cool, and it feels really good to do it. And we want to bring health is the most important, in my opinion, because when you don't feel good, you just don't have the energy to bring anything else into your life when you're feeling terrible. So health is really important. And yeah, there's a lot of fun things there for us to do. So check it out. If you have any questions, you can always reach out to me. And I'm always asking people to send me a manifesting postcard. I tell you how to do it on postcardstotheuniverse.com. And then I also have the address there with to send them. And just let me know if you're sending me a postcard. I love getting them. They're great. So please, and if you need my help, I'm here for you. You can reach me on any of my social media, or you can email me. All right. So let me get to my guest today, Giovanna Silvestre. She is a true visionary trailblazer. As an assistant to a top Hollywood talent manager, Giovanna's unwavering passion for creativity and innovation quickly set her apart, which led her to working alongside renowned film director Kenneth Branagh on the blockbuster Marvel Studios film Thor. As a natural storyteller, Giovanna's upcoming book, Confused Girl, Find Your Peace in the Chaos is a compelling blend of memoir and guidance. Is set to be published. It's coming out in May of 2025. So check it out. To all the women who feel stuck, unworthy, and lost, take heart. Your confusion is a virtue. It's the first stepping stone on your path to becoming an empowered warrior. Drawing from her own trials and triumphs, Giovanna offers inspiring wisdom on living life on your own terms, finding joy in the mess, learning self love, overcoming negativity and anxiety, and discovering the courage to chase your desires without letting fear dictate your fate. And she is also the creator of Confused Girl in the City. It's an international activewear brand inspired, I love this is interesting, by unique healing crystals, blending beauty and spirituality. You can find out more about her, her brand, her book, what she's doing if you go to confusedgirlinthecity.com. Welcome, Giovanna. Thanks so much for being here with me today.
Thank you so much for having me. Excited to be here.
I'm excited to talk to you. So, you're the first person that I've ever spoken to who's created act like any kind of clothing or any what using crystals. That is really fascinating. So we're going to get all into that, but I want to
Mm.
start with your story because you started as an what were you, an assistant in Hollywood, or you were working in that kind of scene, and then like you got inspired to create your own brand, your own blog. I mean, where did all this come from?
So I worked in the TV and film industry for
Okay.
several years, and and then at some point I just got really burnt out, and I was
Mhm.
kind of starting to see that women that had been in the industry for a really long time, they were just a bit hardened, like they
Mhm.
weren't happy people. And
Yeah.
I was thinking, okay, do I want to become like that? Because it is a very brutal dog eat dog kind of environment.
Yeah, I can
And
imagine.
yeah, so I was like, okay, you know what? Let me take a break from this, and I'm gonna go. My parents owned an Italian restaurant 3 hours north of
Mhm.
LA in a town called San Luis Obispo, and I thought, maybe I'll take over my parents' business. It's an established business. They've had it for 30 years. And I thought, okay, maybe I'll go do that. So I went home and I started to take that over. And then I thought, okay, maybe this is what I'm supposed to do. But I was there for almost 2 years, and then I was really miserable doing that. And I'm like, okay, I'm miserable doing this. I got miserable in, working in the film industry. I don't think I want to go back to LA and just go into the film industry again. Because why go back into something that you stopped enjoying?
Right.
But so I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to do with myself. I felt like I had wasted so much time, and I just didn't know who I was at all. And so I fell into this
Mhm.
depression, and I realized in this when I was going through this depression, I'm like, I got here because I cared so much about looking cool, about what other
Mhm.
people thought, about maybe what my parents would make them proud and happy. And I have no idea who I am. And I cannot continue like this. I was like, I need to figure out one, I need to get myself out of this funk. So I need to like reprogram my brain to
Mhm.
function in a more positive, productive way. And then I need to figure out what I do next. And so through a lot of things that I write about in my book, I was able to get myself out of my depression. And then I'm like, well, I'm still confused. Um,
Mhm.
so so
Mhm.
I wanted to do something, but I didn't want, because everything before had to be this grand plan. Like, I'm putting myself through this torture, and I'm doing this because I want to be a producer one day,
Right.
or I'm putting myself through this torture because I'm going to make money with the restaurant. And I was like, you know what? I don't want to put myself through torture. I want to, whatever I'm doing, I want to enjoy. and I don't want there to be a means to an end. I just want to do it and see what happens. And so I started a video blog on YouTube called Confused Girl in the City. And this was over a
Mhm.
decade ago. So if I probably started it more recently, it would have been a podcast. But then it was all about the YouTube. And so
Mhm.
so I decided that every week I would do one new thing that I had never done before in an attempt to figure out who I was and why I was here. And so I just continued with that. And it just took me on this incredible journey of self discovery. It
Mhm.
was really, really transformational. And, I would just go on Groupon and I'd just find random things that were a good deal. Like I did a
That's a
trapeze
good idea,
class.
actually. That's a really good idea for anybody who's like, I don't know what to do, right now. Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
great idea. Mhm.
Yeah, because people always wanna have an excuse, right? Like, "Oh, I don't
Mhm.
have money." I didn't have any money either. I would just, yeah, go on Groupon, and it was like a quarter of the price, and I'm like, "Okay,
Mhm.
I'll do a trapeze class for an hour." And so I did, like, the flying trapeze in Santa Monica, and I went bungee jumping. I did a lot of things, and it was all kind of to go, "Okay, well, who am I? What do I like? What do I don't like?" A lot of
Mhm.
us don't even understand what we really like. We like
Yes.
things based upon what society tells us we should like or what we grew up around.
Yes.
It's and
Mhm.
that's really interesting too, because like even if you take women's bodies, for instance, right?
Mhm.
Um, like I've always had a very hourglass figure, and because I'm from Italian heritage, I'm
Me too.
Mediterranean.
Me too.
Yeah, I
So I
know
know.
from your
Yeah.
last name. Yeah.
Right.
So
Mhm.
so but because I grew up in very Anglo-Saxon community and America's more Anglo-Saxon, especially the TV and films that I watched, it was like, "Oh
Mhm.
my God, I want no hips. I don't
Right.
want boobs. I want to be like a size 0." And then I realized that, oh wow, having an hourglass figure is actually a good desirable thing. And then if you even talk to African American girls, they're like, "Oh no, I did not look good. I was too skinny when I was in
Yeah.
high school." And I'm like, "There was too skinny in high school? I thought we all wanted to
Right.
be skinny." They're like, "Oh, I love now that I have hips and a butt and boobs."
Yeah.
And it's just, and then I have a friend who also has like hips and boobs and she's like, "Oh my God, I've always wanted to be just a size 0." And so she's on the
Mhm.
semi-glutides and everything. And I'm just like, I'm like, this is so funny. We are so influenced by what we grew up around, what we saw on television as children.
Oh yeah.
Um, we
And now
are,
with social media, forget it. I mean, I didn't have social media when I was growing up, thankfully, thank God. I can't even
right?
imagine,
Yeah, me either.
especially young girls now, the pressure that they must be feeling because everything's so curated on Instagram and TikTok, even TikTok. Everything has to have a certain look and they have to, Snapchat and all that stuff. Oh my God, it's too much pressure. Too much
It's
pressure.
so much pressure, and the ideals are always shifting. So by the time you get,
Yes.
boob implants, then small boobs are in again. It's like
I
it's
know.
like, if you really want something, make sure you really want it. I think that's the thing, like, and that's what my book's
Right.
about, not about implants, but
Right, right.
but
It's
it's
about
about
discovering who you are and what you like what feeds your soul and makes you
yes,
happy in your life. And it's different for you than it's for me or anybody's listening. We all have different things, right? It's discovering that.
exactly.
Mhm.
Exactly. It's like, okay, one of the beautiful things about being a woman this day and age is that you have so many choices. So that also makes
Mhm.
it really confusing. Hence my book,
Mhm.
Confused Girl. When there's a lot of options, it's very confusing. So, but I mean, you never have to get married now or have children if you don't want
Mhm.
that. Like no one's going to think you're a weirdo. No one's going to think you're an old spinster. Like it's totally changed. Like that doesn't really exist anymore. And so you
Mhm.
really have a choice, but it's like, if you do want to get married and have kids, then go do that. If you want to be the career woman or travel the world or go help people in different countries or whatever, go do that. It's for me, it's like it's all about discovering, getting in touch with your true nature, and discovering what really lights you on fire, and what
Yeah.
what brings joy to your life and what resonates with you, and then taking the steps to do that and just cutting out the noise. Like, this is my life, it's not my family's life. This is my life, this isn't society's life. And
Mhm.
because the beautiful thing is we do have that option now.
Yeah, we do, and we're gonna keep it whether they like it or
Y-
not.
Exactly.
I'm
Oh,
just
that's
throwing
not
that
going
out
away.
there.
Yeah,
But
that's
yeah.
not going. That's not going away. We're keeping that option.
Exactly. Well, don't you find I find in now that you're on your own journey and discovering and finding your own joy and what lights you up. I always find when I meet people, especially now with the radio show, because I meet so many people from all over the world, the happiest, most fulfilled people are people that are doing whatever is their purpose. And that doesn't
Yeah,
even mean it has to be your job that you get paid for it. But if you're on in some way doing something that fulfills your purpose, you find joy. And you don't have to have and it's nothing to do with money. I mean, yeah, money makes life easier. We know this. I'm not saying it
yeah,
doesn't. But that's not what brings you the joy. It's that you wake up every day feeling like, "Oh, I'm excited about my life. Like, what am I going to do today, or what do I want to accomplish today?" Is that what started to happen as you started to discover what you did like, what you didn't like, stop listening to all the noise? And I know I've been to LA a million times. I have one of my best friends lives out there, and I know how superficial LA can be. Not that Florida isn't either, but it's very, you have to look a certain way, you have to have a certain amount of money, you have to drive a certain car, you have to have a certain house. So trying not to fall into that, you know, has
it,
had to have
it,
been a little challenging.
yeah. But I think the blessing I really had is, like, at a very young age, I went right into it, to the heart of the
Mhm.
entertainment industry, and I was around such, like, big celebrities and bigwigs,
Mhm.
and so it's like I got a glimpse behind the curtain. I think a lot of people, they're trying to attain that, and they're
Yeah.
trying to pretend that they're a part of that when they're not. And it's like, because I got to see behind the curtain, and I've always been somebody that I've never been a follower. I've always
Mhm.
been somebody that marched to the beat of my own drum. Even when I got to
Yeah.
USC, people were kind of saying, you should rush, like, for the sororities.
Mhm.
And I
Yeah.
rushed. And then I was like, hell no, I'm not doing this. And then,
I don't want to
I'm
do
like,
this. Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm gonna go promote clubs in Hollywood and make some side cash. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
that's what I did. That's what I did. So I've always been somebody that marches to the beat of my own drum. And I'm also not trying to collect other people to follow me, but I'm just like, hey, I'm going over here and this is where I'm
Mhm.
going. So, and so I think I saw behind the curtain, and I'm very observant, and I was like, this is like, the energy is
It's not
not
real.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
it's
not.
not real. It's not good.
Mhm.
Most of these people are very unhappy. I'm not seeing a lot of joy and peace in this. I'm seeing, like, never feeling good enough, never enough. Even when they're at the top of the game, it's like, what's the next thing? It's like, geez, you've done
Right.
enough. You live in a mansion.
Yeah.
Like, can you enjoy it for a second? And I just was like, this is not my jam. This is not my jam. So that was the cool thing. So I never fell into
Mhm.
trying to be a follower, or in the superficial thing, because I was like, this is all not what it's cracked up to be. So I knew that. And it was more just like, now we have to figure out who I am. And exactly, it was about finding out what I liked and didn't like, even when it came to, like, colors and food
Mhm.
and, just little things. And then it was like, okay, I don't like bungee jumping. That was too intense. But I like doing the trapeze. I liked doing the boxing class and salsa dancing, and so
Yeah.
it was. And when you put yourself, I didn't realize this at the time, but when you put yourself out there to do something new, and it
Mhm.
literally can just be like doing a boxing class or something, like it could
Mhm.
literally be just dipping your toe in the water. You're building confidence because you're
Mhm.
putting yourself in a unknown situation. So
Right.
you're going, I like this or I don't like this, and you're getting to know yourself. And I think really confidence comes from knowing thyself,
Yes.
having tried things, having put yourself out there in a way. You're able to trust yourself. You're able to know where your strengths and your weaknesses are. I think that's the definition of confidence.
I would agree with you, knowing yourself. And you said something earlier, and I talk about this in my book, and I've also had this come across in like some of the workshops and stuff. When I say, well, what is it that you want? Everybody says, oh, I want to be happy. Okay, well, of course, we all want to be happy. What brings you happiness? Many people can't answer that question. They don't know what
Yeah.
brings them happiness, because for you it may be traveling and exploring new things. For somebody else it may be being in a committed relationship and having a quiet life. For some people it's reading books. For some people it's going to concerts, following their favorite band around the world. I mean, maybe it's a small house, maybe it's gardening. Everybody has different things, and many people have no idea. And like you said, like
Yeah.
they don't even know what they like. Like people don't
Yeah.
even know what they I don't know what I like. My mother told me I should like this, and now I'm stuck in a
Exactly.
miserable relationship with this guy
Yep.
over here because I she told me, everybody said I needed to get married by the time I was 30. And
Yeah.
you're like, yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. And I think
Yes.
people, especially women, we're changing that. We're changing that story. And I guess your journey and your sharing with everybody else that if you did it and you're showing us how you did it, so if you did it, then I can do it, or she can do it, or he can do it, or they can do it, anything, right? Kind of thing.
Yes. Yes, because I mean, don't we want to live in a world where other people are, joyful in their lives and coming
Yes.
alive, and
Yes.
and because those are the people also that don't hurt other people and don't cause a bunch of
Exactly.
drama and chaos. It's like, don't we always
Right.
want to live in that? I mean,
Yes.
even people have said that, even like Hitler, it's
Right.
because they didn't let him be an artist. They told him he wasn't a
Yeah,
good
I've heard
artist, and
that.
then he went,
Yeah.
yeah, that was like one
Gets
of the things. But
revenge on the
I
world. Yeah.
on the world, yeah. But I do think that um you have it, we're not born knowing ourselves. And
Right.
so I think a big part of life is just getting to know who you are. And I think that's the greatest relationship you will ever have, because people will come and go, people will pass away, but you're always
Mhm.
stuck with yourself. So if you don't like
Always.
yourself, that's very problematic. So
Very.
and the way you like yourself is by figuring out what you're good at, where your strengths are, where your weaknesses are, what you enjoy, what lights you on fire, and then moving in that direction. Because the more you do the things that fill you up, the the more you're showing yourself, that's self-love, right? That's,
Yes.
versus I'm just going to put myself through this torture. Um it's
Right. Right. Yeah,
and
it is.
and
It is.
and you
Yeah.
can't know your purpose if you don't know a bit about yourself and what you enjoy.
Right. No, you're right. And I always think that too. It's like in a world where we've been shown that everybody you have to be better than that person. You have to compete against that person. You have to, that person has to be lower than you on whatever totem pole you are
Yeah,
measuring
yeah,
yourself, right? Like I never
yeah.
that never felt right to me because
Yeah.
I look at collaboration, not competition, because I think of in big picture ways, like if everybody in the world is thriving, happy, abundant in whatever they want to be abundant in, then the earth will be a beautiful place to live for all of us.
Yeah. No,
So it's like it
absolutely.
makes
And
no sense to me how that thought process. I want
well, it's fun.
everybody to be happy.
Yeah, it's funny you say that because I actually wrote a chapter. It's chapter 3 in my book, and it's called Mirror Mirror, and it's about comparisons and exactly what you're talking about. Like I think of it like being on a teeter-totter. Like one minute you're
Mhm.
higher than somebody, you feel superior. The next minute you're down on the teeter-totter and you feel like lower than them and inferior.
Yeah.
And it's a miserable, and I used to be very much like that. And it's a miserable place to be, and you know you've really outgrown it when even feeling superior doesn't feel good, because you know at some
Yeah.
point you're going to be down on the teeter totter again, because you know you're like, oh, I feel superior, but this doesn't even feel good because I know it's going to go down at some point. and
Right.
and it just doesn't, and it's also not true, right? So I
It's
really
not
do
true.
believe like no one is better than you, no one is beneath you, and we all are on our own journeys, and nobody is going to escape this life without some conflict and some hardships and some pain, and also, some beautiful things happening too. So it's like
Mhm.
when some maybe when you're going through a hardship and something's going really well for somebody, it's instead of getting upset about that, you have to be
Mhm.
in the wisdom that and be in the wisdom that, you know what, a good time is going to come around for you too again. You just got to get
Exactly.
through and learn from what is going on, and to also, I wrote about this too. It's a Hawaiian blessing, the Huna blessing, where
Oh.
whatever you desire, you
Mhm.
bless. So like somebody
Mhm.
drives by in a car you like, and instead of going like, "Oh, I want
Mhm.
that car, screw that person," you go, "Oh, I'm gonna bless that car, bless the person in it."
Oh, I like that. I like that. Ooh, I have never heard that one. All right, let's hold our thoughts here because I just looked at the clock. So we're going to take our break now and we'll
Okay.
continue our conversation when we come back. Stay tuned everybody and we'll be back in just a couple minutes.
Conscious media for conscious minds. Om Times. Host your show on IOM FM, the radio network of Om Times Media, one of the more recognized brand names in the conscious community, and is backed by the extensive marketing reach of Om Times. Hosting a show on IOM FM immediately connects you with our extensive dedicated community.
My name is Victor Furman. Some call me the Voice. I've always been fascinated with human nature, spirituality, science, and the crossroads at which they meet. Join me Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern on Om Times Radio, and we'll explore these topics and so much more on Destination Unlimited.
Ascending Hearts is no ordinary dating site, but a spiritual dating site with a purpose: to link you with your soulmate. We engineer the serendipity so you can trust that you will attune with someone that has the same matching vibration as you. Ascending Hearts, the conscious dating site for the spiritually aware. Try Ascending Hearts for free. ascendinghearts.com.
Hi, I'm Melissa Caprio from Postcards to the Universe, creating the life you crave. Do you believe in magic? What if I told you all you had to do was get a little creative and work a dream spell to bring anything you can imagine into your life? Well, guess what? I've got the spell for you. Postcards to the Universe, a global movement for manifestation, is a casting magical tool for you to use whenever you want. How does living in passion sound to you? Join me in my movement where you get to create in the magical playground. Let's think outside the box and do some playful conjuring. By casting out our desires with a manifesting postcard, we explore our hearts and allow the alchemy of our dreams to appear.
And don't forget to tune in each week here on Om Times Radio with my show, Postcards to the Universe, Creating the Life You Crave at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. I share tips on creativity, abundance, and prosperity, and you will be introduced to the coolest guests, trailblazers, mystics, and creatives who enrich our lives.
Hi, everybody, and welcome back. I have Giovanna Silvestre with me today, and she is the creator of Confused Girl in the City, which is an international activewear brand inspired by healing crystals. That's really cool, which we're going to talk about in a second. And also her book, Confused Girl Find Your Peace in the Chaos. And it's really about all of us on our journey of discovering what, lights us up, what brings us joy. Because when I'm joyful, I spread joy. When you're joyful, you spread joy, right? And it's kind of contagious. Like, oh, well, why are you so happy? What makes you so happy? Well, I'm so happy because I do this with my life. What do you want to do with your life? And it makes people think. And I have found that more and more that I'm doing this show and meeting people like you. I'm sure you have too in your travels and what you're doing.
Absolutely, absolutely. And the interesting thing about it too is that as you go on this journey of, okay, I want to discover myself, I'm going to be committed to
Mhm.
myself, and I want to make this life that I have the best I can. You stop comparing yourself to other people, you cut out the noise, and and
Mhm.
also I talk to my spirit guides and angels, and I'm like, okay, guys,
Me too.
I'm trying to do this,
Me
like,
too.
help me, and I
Right.
honestly, they really
I
freaking
know.
do.
They
I
do.
really,
They do.
and
Mhm.
and now my dad is in heaven, so I'm like, okay, Papa, I really need help right now. You need to, like, come and help
Oh,
me. We need some money. We need this.
yeah.
We need that. Like, come on, help me.
Yes.
Um, but I once I really started to connect to the spiritual realm, I realized that they were leaving me breadcrumbs.
Mhm.
And when I would start to doubt things, then they would like show me something or bring me something that's
Yeah.
kind of like, you're on the right path, just keep
Yeah.
going. And then it does just unfold. And you you're like for instance, things can change to like what you desire. Like
Sure.
I started my, after I was doing the video blog, I
Mhm.
met this healer who gave me these crystals, and I was like,
Mhm.
"Oh my gosh, I'm gonna start a yoga wear line inspired by healing crystals."
Yeah, that's what
Because
I'm glad you said that because I wanted to know how that sort of it sparked in your mind. Like we get these inspirational insights, and I think that we all get them. And you grabbed yours, I grabbed mine. Not everybody does, and it just keeps going. But like, if the idea is born, then that means it's already. If you can imagine it, that means it's already created. You just have to bring it to reality, right? You just have to
yes,
manifest it in a physical form, right?
yes, yes,
Mhm.
exactly, exactly. And I I met this healer, and I felt really connected to him. It was really weird.
Okay.
I actually was going to meet him for an interview because he was looking for someone to interview him for his YouTube channel. And then we
Okay.
met, and we never even talked about the job, and we were talking about our lives, and it was
Mhm.
like we knew each other. And just I just felt at home with him. It was
Mhm.
crazy. It was crazy, crazy. And so anyway, he gave me these two crystals,
Mhm.
and I didn't know much about crystals. I was doing a lot of yoga at the time because yoga was really helping me quiet my mind and
Mhm.
just get in touch with
Yeah.
myself. And at the time when this all happened, yoga leggings were not everywhere. It was just
Mm.
Lululemon. They were very niche. It was a couple of
Yeah.
small boutique brands, but it was nothing like it is now because this is over a decade
Okay.
ago.
Okay.
So I was meditating one day, and I had the crystals in front of me, and I just came up with this idea to take the images of healing crystals and to print it
Mhm.
onto fabric and cut and sew. So you're like wearing the image of a crystal.
Love that.
And then every crystal has a different healing,
Yeah.
power. So it's very intentional. It's very much like, okay, I want more patience in my life. I'm going to buy the patience leggings that's inspired by a black marble stone, and that helps with having more
Okay.
patience. So like it's like that. So I made them. It took me about a year to figure out the manufacturing, and I was working
Mhm.
part-time jobs. And then I was like, okay, now how do I sell them?
Mhm.
And it was like a whole thing. And then I used Instagram because Instagram at the time
Mhm.
was newer, so it was really
Yeah.
open. I could connect with a ton of people. I connected with a
Yeah.
bunch of yogis, and then the brand just blew up.
Mm. Yeah, Instagram was different. When I first got on it, it was mostly
Yeah,
just photographers actually, and I loved it because we would share, who's doing what work, gallery things, openings, art shows, and then, and then of course it got famous and it got marketable, and then Facebook bought it, and whatever. Now the algorithms, it like blocks people from seeing you and all this crap,
I
but
know.
I know, but going back to the crystal, so you said you take an image of a crystal, like let's say like a rose quartz, like that's all about opening up your heart and love. So you take that
Yeah.
image and how do you infuse it into to the the clothing? Like you put a picture in like in the fabric, or how does that work? I'm just trying to get a visual for myself. So I'm sure
Y-
other people are
y-
thinking the same thing.
yeah, it's dye sublimation printing. So like you
Okay.
take like so you have an image of a crystal, right? And you blow it up,
Okay.
right? Because it's going to go
Right, of
on
course.
leggings. So it has to be a very high resolution. So it's a part
Okay.
of it's like a image that's part of the crystal, like the prettiest part of the
Okay.
crystal. And
Okay.
then you blow up the image, and then you print the image. You do dye sublimation printing onto fabric, like white fabric,
Okay.
and then you cut
Wow.
and sew the leggings from there. So you're just
Okay.
wearing this full on image of a crystal, and they look even they're really so beautiful, and they do look very kind of like galactic, very kind of like
Yeah. Yeah.
even almost could be in the galaxies, or um and yeah. So I mean, people can go to my website, confusedgirlinthecity.com, and
Yeah.
see what they look like.
Yeah, and now do you sell them? So I mean, you've had them on the cover of magazines, you've had articles talked about your confused girl in the city brand and using the crystals and all that stuff. So where can you only buy them online? Are you in stores now? Are you in boutiques in around the US or in California? Like where are your clothes?
So now they're just on my website. I did have them
Okay.
in boutiques like all around Southern California
Mhm.
back in the day. But the thing is, what happened was uh, the brand did very well for about 5 years, and
Mhm.
I was able to stop working part-time jobs, and I was able to live off of it.
Okay.
And that's when I actually got the inspiration to write my book. And I was like, you know what, it's
Mhm.
doing well. But it wasn't scaling. I couldn't figure out
Yeah.
how to scale it.
Mhm.
But it was still, I was consistently selling. So I was like, you know what, let me go now, because I wanted to write my book abroad. I wanted to
Mhm.
live in a different country and write it in a very peaceful
Nice.
setting. And so I was like, let me do this now while I can afford it.
That sounds
Because I
like a
did
nice
see
dream. That's nice. Where did you live, if you don't mind me
I
asking? Where'd you
I
go?
I live I lived in Bali.
Oh, beautiful. Yeah, I have
Yeah.
dreams of being in the English countryside or Scotland or something. I need cold weather and misty and like misty days, cloudy days. I live in the Sunshine State. Like I need cool clouds and old
I
castles
get
for a
I
while.
You know what? I get that. I get that. And I think you need to scratch that itch because
Yeah, I
I
do.
I I lived in Bali for a year where it's like,
Mhm.
sunny
Right.
days and hot all the time. And then I
Yep.
actually went to Berlin because I wanted more of that moody,
Moody.
that
Yeah.
yeah, moody
Yeah.
vibe city,
Love it.
So yeah,
Yep.
so I lived in Berlin for a year, but too. So yeah, definitely
Nice.
scratch that itch.
So you wrote your book there. I think that's beautiful because the energy of that place and what you were feeling at the time is infused in your book, which is really cool.
Absolutely.
See, people don't realize that energy never ends. It only
Mhm.
changes, right? And we
Yes.
infuse our energy in everything. So just the fact that you wrote this story somewhere else, and what you were feeling at that time, that's in all of your books because you infused that energy into it while you were writing it. So I just think that's kind of
Yes.
interesting. Yeah. Mhm.
And I think honestly, Bali has one of the most beautiful
Yeah, I've heard
energies I've
that.
ever felt in my life. It's interesting because you go, oh, it's such a peaceful place, but it's also chaotic because it's like
Yeah.
lots of cars, lots of motorbikes. It's a very populated island, but the people there are
Mhm.
so spiritual that they're not superficial. They're not concerned with like making a ton of money. They're not stressed out. They're just like every day they do their offerings in the morning and then they have their
Yeah.
spiritual ceremonies and they're just all about being with their family and doing their like their own thing and they're just
Mhm.
happy. Even the babies there, you see it in the faces of the babies. They're just like
Yeah.
so joyful and giggly and I mean it's really
Yeah.
it's really
I've heard
beautiful.
that. I've heard about that. I have a couple of friends who did some yoga retreats over there and said it's just a magical place, Bali. Yeah. Yeah. One day I'll get there.
Yeah,
That's another
yeah.
thing that's on my bucket list. Okay, so you write your book, you come home, your book's coming out, your publisher's publishing it in May. People, by the way, you can pre-order your book, right? If people want who are
Yes.
listening, they can pre-order it. Okay, you can go on and
Yes,
pre-order the
and
book.
yes,
Go ahead.
and I'm doing a big giveaway. So if you pre-order the book and you send me a screenshot that you purchased it, you'll enter to win a 2-night ocean view room in Maui and a $100
Mhm.
gift card from my store.
Oh, nice. Oh, wow. That's a really nice giveaway. Wow.
I
Very
know, I
cool.
know.
So now with your clothing line, you decided to pull it out of the stores and you're just exclusively selling it online now. Is that what you're doing? You have an online store?
Yes, yes, exactly,
Okay.
exactly. So I left, I wrote my book, and while I was abroad, I could see my sales going down just because,
Mhm.
so much competition entered the market. I mean, all of a sudden everybody and their mother was making yoga leggings and I was like, "Oh my
Yes.
God." But I'm
Yeah.
definitely an OG. I'm like an OG of the yoga leggings.
Y- Yeah.
But so I wrote my book and came back and then COVID hit. And then it was like,
Mm.
well, I guess my place in LA was rented out to other people. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go stay with my parents. So I was with my
Mhm.
parents and I got an agent
Okay.
for for my book. And that
Mhm.
was really interesting how that all happened because um before it's like I was always hustling, 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 and like maybe if one person said yes, it was like, oh my god, thank God, yay.
Right.
And with this, I had two agents interested.
Oh, good. That's
I
great.
know, and I was like, oh my, almost like to the point where you just feel so grateful you have two interested. You don't want to say no to any of them. You're like, no, can you
Yeah.
both be my agent?
Right. No.
Like,
They're like, "No,
and
sorry, we can't do that."
you're
But
right.
yeah, right.
And I went with the one who it was so interesting as I was emailing a list of agents, literary agents.
Mhm.
I emailed this one lady. She emailed me back and she goes, this isn't for me, but I just sent it to another agent I think would be perfect for
Mhm.
this. And then that agent that she sent it to was the next person on the list I was going to email.
Oh, wow.
So,
So it was meant
yeah,
to be.
it was
Yeah,
meant
it
to
was
be.
meant
So
to be.
that was the agent that I ended up going with. And then it was 2 years of rejection
Oh,
where
yeah,
I was
I
just
know.
I was being rejected. But I was honestly, I'd done so much work on myself, and I wasn't attaching my self-worth to anything outside of myself anymore.
Mhm.
I'm like, this world is so crazy. Things come, they get taken away. I, it's a mistake to attach your self-worth to anything in this world. And so I was like, okay, well, we'll see what happens. And I just kind of let the project go and I let it breathe and kind of forgot
Mhm.
about it really. And I thought, okay, at some point I'll come back to it and maybe self-publish if I don't get a publisher. And my dad was really sick at the time, so I was just pretty much living at
Yeah, yeah.
home helping take care of my dad. And then 2 months before my father died, 2 publishing companies had a bidding war on my book.
Oh, wow. That's fantastic because that doesn't happen. Just FYI, just so you guys know that the publishing industry has changed so dramatically, and now with self-publishing, that's not very common anymore, unless you're a big name like you're Barack Obama or something or Michelle Obama. Then yes, it's like who's going to get her. But for the regular folks who are not super famous when we're trying to get our book published, that's not something that happens very often. So that's really great that
Oh
that
my gosh,
happened for you.
thank
Yeah.
you so much for saying that because even my agent said she's like this I've never seen this
Yeah, it
happen.
doesn't.
Like
Yeah, it doesn't happen. Yeah.
she's like and and I got like a really good advance,
That's
I got
fantastic.
especially from a first time author again who's not famous.
Yes.
I have a good
Yes.
social media following, but
Yeah.
I'm not like uber famous.
Right.
And so I was like, "Whoa." So I'm just like, "Whoa, that was the angels, that was the universe, that was God, whatever
Yeah.
you want to call the force. This was out of my hands. Like I did the work, I
Yeah.
showed up and I
Yeah.
trusted. But I think I trusted, and I think
Yeah.
that
See,
was
that's important.
key.
Yeah, you trusted. Yeah, it's like that's the thing. People don't realize, and I try to say that, I have people create these manifesting postcards, and they're so fun, and it's really powerful when you tap into the creative energy, right? You send it out
Mhm.
there, and then you have to trust, and then you
You have to
also have to
trust.
take active steps in the direction of your goal, but you have to not worry about it and enjoy the process. See, a lot of times we don't enjoy the process, right? We create something and we just want to be successful at it. Boom, they're done. And then you're
Yes.
like, okay, right? And that's not how it works. I mean,
No, it's not. And that's
mm-mm,
not airy fairy. That's not telling
no,
people that's not how it works is not being airy
mm-mm,
fairy. It's like
no,
I, literally it happened to me. I made sure I enjoyed this process. I mean, I left the
yes,
country. I was
yes,
doing yoga. I did all the work to figure out myself beforehand.
right,
Then I left the country. Then I was doing yoga every day. And then days I didn't want to write, I wouldn't write. And then days that I
right,
wanted to write, I would write. And so I mean, and this was a 7-year project. This is not something that happened
right. That's
overnight.
the
This is
other thing. Everybody will say,
the
"Oh, you
time.
just became an overnight success." You're like,
Yeah.
"Well, to you I am, but you didn't see that I've been working on this for a decade, right?" No, it was not an overnight success. And a lot of that is clearing out our old stuff. Am I good enough? Is anybody going to like it? Oh my God. You read your work and you're like, oh my God, really? Did I write, and the editing
Yeah.
and you have all these feelings about it and you're worried about how you're going to look and you have to and that's all the internal work that you're doing while you're creating whatever it is that you're creating for yourself. You have a lot of cleaning up your own house. It's a lot of
Yeah,
cleaning up your own
yeah.
house.
It is. It really,
Yeah.
really is. It's so crazy. That's why when people say it's not about the destination, it's about the journey. And as
It's true.
cheesy as that sounds, and as often as we hear it, well, it's true. It's not like now I'm like, oh great, I'm published. Okay, I made it. It's like
Right.
no, no, no. Like what the most beautiful part of this was the whole freaking thing. It was everything that happened, everything I did, everything made what it is, what this is. It's
Absolutely.
not, and it was going to be beautiful no matter what happened. It was
Right.
beautiful even without the publishers coming in. It was beautiful even without any accolades
Yeah.
or PR or
Right.
whatever. It was already beautiful. I'm already happy about it and
Exactly.
grateful.
That's good. That's good. That's great. Now, so what do you envision for the book? Because the book's going to be out in 2 months. So, what do you envision for it? Like, what do you see for the book?
Well, well, one, I would love it just to get in as many hands as possible because
Mm,
I really think it'll help change lives. I really do.
yeah.
I really, really do. I think it'll help a lot of people because we are in very confusing times, and I think it's
Yes.
just going to get even more confusing with AI and the way the world is so
Mm,
rapidly changing. And it's you need a place to ground, and you
yeah.
shouldn't be grounded in your news or in your political
Mm,
party or in your this or in your that. You need to be grounded in yourself.
yeah.
Like you
Yes, I agree.
and that's what my book will help people do. Um, and but I would love to go on a book tour. I
Hmm.
would love to do speaking engagements, and because of my TV and film industry background, I really see it
Hmm.
being Confused Girl being a TV series. I just do. I
Oh, I
could
love
see it
that.
being, yeah,
Hmm.
and everybody
That's
everybody who reads it says that to me. They're like, "This could be a TV series." I'm like, "Ah, well, that's exactly what I would want. That'd be fabulous.
yeah. No,
That would be such another fun adventure, you know?"
another fun adventure. Sure, you take it to the next level. See, when I started postcards, it was all because of art. It had nothing to do with the book. I was never thinking I was going to be an author. I never thought I'd have a radio show. Never. It was just
Yeah,
about
see?
making photographs. Yeah, it was just about making photographs, and I have a thing with people's handwriting. I love to photograph it, and I've always loved cards and letters, and I just thought, "Oh, well, we can make intentional. We can make these beautiful I can make these beautiful pictures, these intentional pictures of people's wishes and dreams." And that's how it started. And then, yeah,
I
and
love
I
that.
have, yeah, and I have the radio show, podcast, a book. I have a second book that's not out yet that I'm
Oh,
editing right
wow.
now with other pictures. So, yeah, that's what I'm saying. So, of course, why couldn't it be a TV show? Who says it can't be? Of course it can.
Exactly, and yeah, and right, duh. Let's invent that
Right.
crap right now. Everybody on
Exactly.
here. Yeah,
Exactly.
but it's
Mhm.
true. It's like once you start going like you did. Oh, I really like postcards. I like
Mhm.
photography. I'm gonna move in that direction. Not, oh, what money
Right.
could that make me? Oh, where could I
Right.
really go with it? Oh, what am I just gonna do? Like
Yeah.
photograph, like do high
Yeah.
school portraits or what? It's like
Right.
it's like you just go after what you love, and then it's the path unfolds as you walk it. It's like there's
Yep.
this quote, I think it's by Winston Churchill. I love it. It says the chain of destiny is only grasped one link at a time. So it's a mistake
Mm.
to look too far into the future.
Ooh, I love that. That's a good one. That's a good quote. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. Yeah, because it unfolds as you walk it.
Mhm.
So when people are like, "Oh yeah, was this what's your 10-year plan? What's your plan?" I'm like, "I just had a
Yeah.
day plan and I had like, I mean,
Exactly.
it was
Yes.
like, what do I do today?" I mean, you can't
No.
foresee all the things
Mm-mm.
that are going to happen or all the things that like will opportunities that will come your way. That's part of the magic of life.
That
That
is.
people need
It
to
is.
realize it's available for everyone. It's not for everyone.
Yeah. And then every step you take, you never know who you're going to meet along your journey or what you're going to see that's going to help take you to that next step. And that's how it happened for me. It was just I
Yep.
met somebody who introduced me to this. I met somebody who helped me with this, and then who sparked the idea of, well, I think you'd be really good at radio. And I'm like, I kind of feel like I want to try it. And then that's what I did.
Yeah.
And I love having the show because I meet the most interesting people from all over the world. And that is like so cool to me, and then I get to share because that's what I do, right? I take photos of people's dreams and desires and I share them with the world. I interview
Love
people
it.
who are doing interesting things and I share it with the world. And that gives me tremendous joy in what I do.
See, I
Mhm.
love that. I love that. When I was on a podcast recently, the girl that I was on her podcast, she said,
Mhm.
she's an intuitive, right? And so she
Mhm.
said that, uh, like my gift to the world is storytelling. And it's so
Mhm.
funny because I never thought of it like that. I never thought my gift to
Of
the world
course.
is storytelling. And I'm like, you know what? But she's so right because I love it.
It
It
is
gives me
because you
joy.
love it. And there you go. Well, it's been such a pleasure, Giovanna, talking to you. And guys, check her out at her website, Confused Girl in the City, to connect and pre order her book. Thank you so much. All right, everybody. Thanks for listening to Postcards to the Universe with Melissa, creating the life you crave. And I'm wishing everyone a wonderful week filled with joy, abundance, and love. Peace.